Well, good Monday morning to you, and welcome to our live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition over on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road, across from the old garden center of the old Kmart. We're expecting some bad weather coming in from the west here soon, as you just heard Tommy talking about just a little while. So batten down the hatches.
Yep.
Amen.
And get ready for that. So anyway, don't forget now, of course, you can call in 800 349-0713, 896-0713 are our phone numbers. Jersey Sam's on the phone lines. Be sure when you call in, you say hello and goodbye to her, because she's going to be leaving us after this week and going back home to New York.
I did not know that.
Really? Yes, Jersey Sam's leaving, has taken a weekend weather anchor position with a TV station up in, I believe, in New York somewhere.
Well, that's good.
So congratulations to her.
Congratulations.
We're going to miss her, but very happy for her.
She's
Talking about this morning, childhood, and you know, the things that health issues that children deal with, what you can do to help them. So there are so many different things.
Right.
You know, we think about that. You know, we get older. We want to start taking care of it and say, well, I need to start taking care of I need to start eating better and doing this. But it begins at childhood, because the things that we do at childhood is going to kind of pretty much put you in the habit of what you're going to do later on in life as you become an adult, because it's like, you know.
Those are patterns that you said, you know, just like we were talking earlier, you know, we teach our kids to brush their teeth. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good thing. That's a good habit. If you can instill that habit in them in childhood, hopefully they'll brush their teeth in adulthood. And it's the same thing we should be doing about diet, exercise, and all the other health issues too, because those are really important.
Well, you see, you know, the push on TV. I mean, the National Football League pushes that little program, you know, 60 minutes a day.
Yes.
Right. Exercise. That's not 60 minutes a day sitting there with a remote going, playing, you know, whatever you play on.
No, there's actually some pretty good statistics and studies that have shown the more TV you watch, the more health problems kids start having in childhood. Mm-hmm. And they actually find it affects it affects weight, it affects attention deficit, it affects depression. The more TV they get, and they show that how many hours they get a day makes a difference in how likely they are to get these problems. So when we were kids, we used to play a lot outside.
You just
we
took
used
my
to play,
thought right
you know?
there. Yeah, we get outside, you know,
Yeah.
your dad and your mom would say, get out in the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here. Yeah.
Or usually a lot of times they didn't have to tell us that. You just say, where are you? I'm out in the yard, you know, outside, but you know, playing with friends or whatever.
Right. So you want to play more. And now with all the video games and the social media and all that, I think it's even harder than ever for kids to get their exercise, because they're all, you know, you watch a kid, we have these 6 and 8-year-olds that come in and they're on their phone the whole time they're in there.
They've actually shown, there's a study just came out recently about, you know, the cell phone thing and iPads or whatever, and they're giving them to kids as nannies. And some children as young as 2 years old can scroll down the page, and some of them have actually been able to scroll down and call somebody.
Well,
wow.
2.
No, they're even younger than that. Because Tana's
2,
baby can already do stuff on her phone.
Right.
She can actually, she's 1.5, and she can pull up a picture of herself and say me on her phone. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, kids are starting so young, and it's good that they can develop their brain.
Right.
But at the same time, you got to make them play and exercise and get the amount of activity that they need.
Well, that's like the commercial with the kid sitting there watching TV or playing video games, and he picks up the phone, and it's ringing, 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 and you see Grandma behind him walk by and pick up the phone, and then all of a sudden he says, "Hey, Grandma, how about another grape soda?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
And speaking
you
of,
go up there and jerk a kink in his rear end and say, "How about you get off your little fat butt and get outside and exercise?"
Your own thing, right? Yeah.
Really?
Speaking of grape sodas.
Uh-oh, she's on a roll now. Here
we go.
Because one of the biggest issues in kids is childhood obesity.
Yes.
And the statistics show that actually in America, about 31% or 1/3 of the children are overweight or obese. Now, Mississippi is a little higher than that. It's about 44% are overweight and obese.
That's significant.
You know, we live at the South. They say, of course, is the worst in the whole country.
Well, it is.
The South is a little because of the way
like to eat.
the way that people eat. But the activity levels are going down across the country. I mean, that's probably across the country, and you need the activity, but you also have to change what you eat. And you know, we actually were sugary drinks, and people say, oh, well, they only get one a day. One a day is way too much. I mean, that is way too much sugar to be eaten in a day.
The study just came out on that.
Shows that they can take healthy young adults, 20-year-olds, that have absolutely zero problems in their blood work. They can give them one drink a day, one sugary drink a day, and within 2 weeks, they're developing blood sugar problems and metabolic syndrome.
Wow.
In
2 weeks. So what are you doing when they do it every day all the time? You're just setting them up to actually have the health problems.
You know, and that goes back to those habits. You know, if you start kids with a habit and say, well, you can only have one a day. Well, you're planting that seed that one a day is okay. And actually, from this study that just came out, it's really not okay. So we need to get that habit of, that's a treat that maybe you have once a week or two, but not once a day.
And also juice is a sugary drink. So people think juice is okay and they just load them up with juice. That's not necessarily good either.
Because they show that an 8-ounce glass of orange juice is equivalent to about a standard Coke or Pepsi.
Really?
Yes.
Small Coke, yeah.
So water
Same
is
amount
what
of
they
juice.
really need to
What
be
about
drinking.
Diet Coke?
Nope.
A diet drink?
Oh, no.
Aspartame City, right?
I knew that was
that
hit
was
another
coming
nerve.
Then you start affecting their brain at the same time. Not, so.
You know, and what's bad is, you know, it's two of the biggies, you know, the Coke and Pepsi have said they were going to get away from aspartame in the future. They didn't define the future very well, but in the future they're going to do this. But they're also going to replace it with another one called sucralose. So
Which
we're
is
going to take,
still an artificial sweetener.
yeah, so we're just going to do the same thing.
Which
all
has
over
still
again.
been shown to make weight gain
Right.
and still shown to cause problems. Maybe not quite as bad as aspartame,
Maybe
but it
not,
still has
right.
its own set
Jury's
of problems.
still out on
right.
that one, but it's, you know.
So the big thing we wanted to stress today is changing what your kids eat now. Because think as when as an adulthood, you eat what you liked as a kid. I mean, that's what you, things that you grew up with. I grew up with shrimp. I still love shrimp. You know, I mean, but that's what we had. He did not have shrimp growing up, and he could eat it, but he could do without it.
Right.
I mean, but it's more about what you grow up with. And so you want to start good habits when you're young and not do all the desserts and the bread and the pasta and so many carbohydrates. People are getting overabundance of carbohydrates and not enough of the beneficial proteins and fruits and vegetables.
And fats.
Yes, and fats.
Beneficial fats,
Good fat.
especially the omega-3 fats.
Yeah, the good fat.
Extraordinarily important.
Yeah, and as a whole, America is deficient in omega-3s. And that was one thing we were going to talk about for kids is a good supplement to give kids is some sort of an omega-3, whether it be fish oil or krill oil. It helps brain development, which is crucial. I mean, it's actually when they're kids, young kids, even pregnancy, even women pregnant should take it to actually help with the development of the brain, you know, in utero.
Yeah, because it's actually developing in utero.
Yeah.
And they say up to the first 3 years of a child's life is when you get the maximum development for that brain. And that's where you need those omega-3s because the DHA that's part of the fish oil, the docosahexaenoic acid, 25% of your brain is DHA. And if you don't get it as a kid, you know, what's your chances of getting it as an adult later on?
And you get it, I mean, if they eat fish every day, that's one thing, but fish sticks don't count. I mean, fish sticks that most people buy processed, and
Gordon's fish stick,
you're really not going to get the omega-3s. So just because they eat fish sticks doesn't mean they're going to get their omega-3s.
Right.
It's the fatty, baked, broiled fish that you actually get it
Salmon,
from.
Yeah.
Sardines. Yeah.
Sardines, I mean, things that most kids probably won't eat. So
Sardines
it's
are actually
real
good.
important for them to get their omega-3s.
Yeah.
All right, our phone lines are open, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We're talking about kids' health this morning on our live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy, and we'll be back in just a moment with our second segment. And good morning. Welcome back to our live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition, Cowan Road in Gulfport, south of Pass Road. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Our phone lines are open to you. If you have a question, if you don't want to be on the air, Jersey Sam will just pass it along to us. If not, we'll be glad to have you on there and have you ask them the question directly. We're talking about children. And, you know, children's problems, health problems, things to deal with, you know, starting out at a young age. I know usually in the past we've talked more about things as we get older. But one of the things when I was a kid, my father was Air Force. We traveled a lot, you know, different countries, different parts of the United States, but even overseas. And we never were one place for long enough where you'd build up an immune system. Right. To whatever was in the air.
You get sensitivity to stuff.
Exactly, exactly. So I had a lot of problems as a child with bronchitis, you know, health issues along that line, respiratory problems, pneumonia, whatever.
You see a lot of allergies and asthma, especially in our area too, because we do have a lot of allergens. And there's a lot of things that you can do for that. For one, research has shown probiotics your good bacteria.
Huge.
Your good bacteria is one of the big things that you can do to build your own immune system, and it can be done at a very, very young age. We even have probiotics that are for babies and little bitty kids, and then as they get older. And so probiotics is definitely one of the things you want to do. And then if it still isn't enough, there's actually things like DMG, which actually helps with allergies and asthma, and helps with that. We even have some allergy drops. Now, if a kid's a little older, like over 6, where you desensitize them to the trees and flowers in the area, and it works quick. It works a little quicker than what allergy shots do.
It really does.
And
it's a homeopathic.
It's a homeopathic remedy, and it does work. So, and it's zoned for the area that you're in.
Well, I mean, you hear a lot about people say, "Well, get natural honey from this area.
Yes.
Don't go to the store, your big box store, and just buy it off the shelf because
you never
it's
want
full
to
of
do that.
sugars.
Right.
It's full of sugar. So
you want to get the local stuff.
Right. Go to your farmer's market or someplace like that. Or I know y'all carry it.
Yes.
Some of the local honey that you have, and that's good.
And local honey is good, and it's really good for allergies and asthma, but we do find a lot of people with sugar problems. And if you have the kids that are overweight, that's just adding more sugar. So there is other things you can do, but that is an option, especially if the sugar is not a problem.
And if you just do a small amount of honey, like maybe, like for a child, maybe a half a teaspoon or so, you don't take much. I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, it doesn't take much at all. So something like that would be okay. But you just don't want to eat huge amounts of it. But these drops, these desensitization drops, are really good because they give it's a homeopathic version, so you get a little bit of what's causing the problem, and it gives your immune system time to kind of adapt to it, and it really does a good job.
Talk about kids' health, immune system is a big part of it because, of course, the young kids, when you're born, you don't have a lot of an immune system. You have to build it up. And so one of the things, especially if a kid is taking antibiotics, the kids that are on antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic, they're never going to be better. That's when replacing the probiotics are
because you're killing all the good stuff at the same time.
We have people that come in that their kids have been sick for 2 to 3 months at a time, where the constant cough, drain, within a week or two, we can usually have them to where they're better.
Well,
again.
I mean, even as an adult, I mean, because I remember here at the first of the year, I got the crud.
Yes.
And I had it for the longest, like 7 weeks.
And we
and
put
I
you on
take
probiotics.
it I had gotten on antibiotics and done that at first, and then think, well, it's something viral or whatever, which didn't help it.
Right.
And then, I got on the probiotics and with the alum. Within a couple of weeks of taking the probiotics, I'm clearing up.
Yeah, it takes a little time to do that.
Oh, because you got to get it into your system.
It.
Exactly.
Right, because remember, we've talked about this before. 70% of your immune system is in that GI tract. So if you keep taking antibiotics, or even packaged processed foods that contains antibiotics,
right?
A lot of your packaged and processed foods are made with products, animal parts or whatever, that have been fed antibiotics. I mean, because when you look at the statistics, something like 30 million pounds of antibiotics are made in the United States every year.
Wow.
80% of them fed to animals. You eat the animal, you're eating antibiotics.
Yeah, and you look. I mean, you look your gallons of milk or whatever, and if you get your your organic, we talk organic.
We talked about that all the time.
Right.
Yes, it's a little bit more expensive to pay for it, but it's a lot better for you in the long run.
Yeah.
Right.
So
to
I mean,
keep those hormones out.
Exactly.
People all the time say, well, it's just so expensive, I can't afford to do it. All right, eat less, because there's a study that just came out. The only thing that's been shown, there's not a pill, a potion, not a drug, not anything else, that's shown to actually increase longevity, but one thing: caloric restriction. So, we're eating too much anyhow. So cut back a little bit, eat the good stuff, your body's going to respond better for it.
There you go.
Yep.
So you got to push yourself away, away from the table. When you start you feel that fullness. Don't sit there and keep eating until you're sitting back there going, I can't eat
when
anymore.
you feel stuffed, you ate way too much.
Exactly.
If you feel full, you've probably eaten too much.
But another thing for
Feel
kids
satisfied. Satisfied.
that we think that people should have on hand in case a kid starts getting sick, and this can be done at the youngest age, is rabbinogalactin. It's actually totally safe. It's actually a prebiotic, so it feeds your good bacteria, so it feeds your probiotics, but it also boosts your immune system. And if you start taking it at the first sign of something, then it can actually kick your immune system in to fight it. and it's safe for a day-old baby. I mean, we actually
We've given it to
a week or two old babies.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's so
That's the
safe
stuff
from a
you say
young.
you dip your
yeah,
finger
you can just dip your finger in it in a
tip of it,
baby.
put it on their
Yep.
tongue. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a little bit older
yeah.
kid, you mix it with something and have them drink it. So it is a powder. But the arabinogalactin is something that you should have on hand, and that's way better to try to boost your kid's immune system than putting them on an antibiotic with every sniffle.
You know, and kids that are in like daycare and kids, because they're being exposed to a
all the
lot of
time.
stuff, you know, and even school, when they start school, that's the time that we got a lot of people, a lot of parents, once they kind of get used to the arabinogalactin and using it, they say, you know, is it okay to give it to them like maybe once a week? Sure. Just give them a prophylactic dose once a week. Just kind of keep that immune system going, you know. So yeah, much better.
All right.
Yeah, so there's many things you can do for kids' immune systems.
Right.
And I mean, the kids, another big one is vitamin D. I mean, there's even a lot of research on even infants and vitamin D. If the infant is being breastfed, actually they talk about supplementing vitamin D because they don't think you get enough from the mom. And it's usually about 400 to 500 IUs for a baby, an infant,
Okay.
a just born baby. Now we get a little higher doses as the kids get older, but we do find, we check a lot of kids' vitamin D because when they come in and they've been sick for long periods of time and they can't get better, most of the ones we check are deficient in vitamin D. And many of them are iron deficient. We see a lot of iron deficient kids, and you don't want to just give them iron. Do not do that because iron can be toxic to a kid if they don't need it. So, but it's if the kid's sick constantly, have some things checked.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, get some blood work done.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we
you
do
can do
blood.
that.
We can do blood work on kids as well because if they have deficiencies, especially, it's much better to fix a deficiency than it is to just keep taking a medication to try to
It's
fix
just
a
like,
problem that's not there.
It's just like you brought up the thing about vitamin D. You know, the thing about vitamin D is that's bone development, you know, bone growth, teeth. So, you know, very important, really.
Okay. Well, our phone lines are open at 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We're talking about children's health this morning and what you can do you know, in different situations and so whenever they grow up to be a lot healthier as well. Right. So give us a call if you have a question, and we'll be glad to put you on. It's Live Healthy, Be Healthy with Doctors Nutrition. And welcome back to our final segment here of Healthy Living South Mississippi, Live Healthy, Be Healthy for Doctors Nutrition. Jim and Janine Fox, of course, is located on Cowan Road, south of Pass Road. I guess kind of stumbled there because it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Sandy of Dakota, Illinois. Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, are you down here visiting or?
Yes, I am. I'm down here in Gulfport visiting some friends that I met during Katrina when I came down to work.
Okay.
Well,
Very good.
happy to have you back here. You have a question for the doctors this morning.
Yes, I have an 18-year-old granddaughter that has been sick her entire life. She catches anything and everything, and I don't even think she has an immune system.
I mean, it's very possible that she does have some problems. Yeah. There is, for one, we talked about doing lab work, and you want to check the vitamin D levels, and you want to check and see if she looks like she has a chronic virus of some kind. But there's also some immune deficiencies that are not checked for regularly.
Yeah, immunoglobulins.
I myself grew up sick my whole life, probably why I do what I do today, because I was sick my whole life. And I found out later after I got out of school myself that I have an immunoglobulin deficiency. And I had even spent 4 months in the hospital in high school, and they still didn't catch it. So and that's not a real expensive. I think we do the immunoglobulins for like $65. So it's not a real expensive test to do, but it is something that you can see if it's a problem. But probably the best thing to do is, is she in Illinois or is she here?
She's in Arizona.
Arizona, okay.
We can do that.
We can do things. We would deal with people all over the country. Yeah. So that's the best thing probably to do is set her up to do some lab work so we can see exactly what's going on, especially if she's been sick her whole life.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are things you can do about it because we deal with people all the time that's come in that's like that, and a lot of times we find little things they just didn't know about.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm moving out to Arizona in June.
Okay.
And I was wondering, can I call you then?
Yeah, definitely.
And try to find out?
Definitely. Our phone number, our 800 number is 824-0194. It's 1-800-824-0194. So you can call from anywhere.
824
0194.
0194.
Yep.
800. Yeah, all right.
Yep.
And you call us anywhere.
So I will sure give you a call.
Okay, that sounds good.
Sounds great.
Thank you. Have a good
so
trip.
much.
Thank you. All right, Gigi from Wiggins is on the phone with us now. Good morning, Gigi.
Good morning. I'm in Wiggins. I enjoy y'all's program
Well,
so
thank
much.
you.
And my question is about the honey.
Okay.
You had said that it was good to give local honey to children, and babies for their allergy and immunity. And on my honey bottle on the back, it says, "Do not feed honey to children under 1 year."
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring that up for people on that may be viewing that have babies under a year old. And could you tell me why?
Now you said on a bottle. Is this honey that you got?
On my honey bottle.
Yeah,
on my
but
honey
it is
container.
true.
Did
though.
you get that at a store?
Yes.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
like it's not. Is it not local honey?
No.
I have local honey, but this was an older.
Yeah.
The local honey doesn't have that.
But
stated
even the
on
local honey, they do say not
Yeah.
to give it to kids because when they're under 1 year old and they don't have a lot of an immune system, and you start giving them pollens and stuff that they're not used to and
can
hadn't been
trigger a
around yet, you
problem.
can trigger allergies.
Yeah.
So you're right. We should have brought that up. That is true. That under a certain age, you do not start the honey yet, and that's why I think something like that, arabinogalactin or the probiotics or stuff like that, that is safe for ones under 1.
Probably a much better.
Yeah. And you're not starting them out
baby.
with so much
Right.
sugar. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah, probably wait for the kids to give them honey. Probably a few years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the prebiotic? I couldn't I heard galactin. Was
Yes. It's arabinogalactin.
Arabino. That's the
Yes,
part I didn't hear.
and that
Okay,
is-
arabinogalactin.
Yep, and that is our special this week. We always have specials.
Yeah, there
And
you
our
go.
special is the arabinogalactin powder and the krill, which I think the omega-3s are so important for all kids to take. And krill is just very small, so most of them can swallow it. So that's why we put that one on special this week.
Okay. Well, thank you so much
Okay.
for the information.
Well, thank
Thank you,
you.
Gidget.
Uh-huh.
And if you're out of the area, they will ship to you.
Yes,
We
oh
will.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes, so you can call them 228-897-0070 as the toll-free number 800.
I think the storms
The
are rolling
power.
through.
Really,
Yeah, I think
Nacy
storms
of
are rolling through
Gulfport.
there.
Nacy
No
of
problem.
Gulfport, you got a
Yeah.
question? Go ahead. Nacy, you there?
They might have
Oh,
lost
we
her.
lost Nacy.
We lost
I
her.
guess
We're just
so.
to say real quick, because I know we're coming up toward the end. Another issue we did this week on Voice America. If you go to our website, doctorsnutrition.com, we'll have a whole segment on attention deficit. And so you can go to our website, doctorsnutrition.com, and go to our Voice America show. And it's going to be on children's health, but we have a lot more time to go in detail on attention deficit.
I think we got Nacy back on the line. Nacy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Nacy.
Yes, I have IBS real bad.
Arabinogalactin's good. We got to rebuild your GI tract. I mean, it's not because you're lacking a drug. It's because you don't have the good probiotics and that GI tract's not functioning correctly.
And we do have something,
Yeah.
GI Essentials, that we use a
Yeah.
lot for irritable bowel, and also sometimes changing your diet around and eliminating some foods and trying to figure out if there's a food trigger.
There may
'Cause
very well may be a food trigger to it.
A lot of times there is in
A lot of times,
IBS. So if you come by, we definitely have stuff for it, and we can help you more specifically.
Sure can.
Okay, I'll come visit you.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right,
sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, they're located on Cowan Road in Gulfport, south of across the old garden center of the old Kmart there on Cowan-Lorraine Road. You can't miss them. The problems that you have with your children, of course, we appreciate the few calls that we got this morning. And of course, if you have any other questions, you can give them a call, or you can email me at jtabor@wlox.com. Next week, talking about diabetes and metabolic syndrome.
Yes, it's a big problem, and we've
Huge
talked about it
problem.
before, but we're going to revisit.
It's been
We're
a
gonna
while.
rehash it.
Rehash
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, well, we talked
It's
about
so
it
important, yeah.
early
It really
last
is.
year that we talked about it. Now, if you kind of tuned in late with us, this show will be rebroadcast on Friday at 9 a.m. here on WLOX CBS. Again, Live Healthy, Be Healthy with Doctor's Nutrition, our live edition on Mondays now on Healthy Living South Mississippi, and then we're rebroadcast on the Friday. So again, be careful out there. We have some rough weather coming into us today. Be sure that you stay tuned in, and we'll keep you updated on the weather situation here as well on WLOX CBS and WLOX ABC.